If you found yourself saying you can't do another year of a 9 to 5, this video is going to show you how to start escaping it for good and in a realistic way. You're not quitting tomorrow, you're going to build something that will actually fulfill you and provide you with more choice and income down the line. I've been in marketing, consulting and coaching, and what I've found is a service-based business isn't only just a path to more fulfillment, it's actually one of the best ways to make a living and feel good about it at the same time. Even better, it costs virtually nothing to get started. My name is Matt and I'm here to help you find what it is that you are good at and turn that into a service-based business that will provide you with more control over your time, more freedom, and yes, more money, so you can trade in your 9 to 5 job for something that you genuinely look forward to waking up to. So let's break down a very simple roadmap that takes you from employee to a service-based business. Let's get stuck in. So here we are, let's get stuck in. Escape the 9 to 5, your roadmap to building freedom for a service-based business. Now, I just want to preempt this, that service-based business is simply a way that you're going to provide a service for somebody. In exchange, they're going to give you money, which is always a good thing. And ultimately, you get more fulfillment than, in my opinion, just selling products. So this is a very good way, especially an AI-proof way, to future-proof your business, in my opinion. So let's just dive straight in. Audit your skills. Now, this is a crucial first step because ultimately, when you first have an idea of potentially going out on a limb, doing something a little bit different, you might get inflated with loads of different thoughts and opinions that you've just constructed in your own head from, I'm not good enough. I've been told I don't really have any skills. I don't believe I have any talents. Things that extend from maybe childhood, what you've been told in school, in work, and maybe things that you've read online and stuff like that just make you doubt yourself, which is a very sticky situation to get into because ultimately it won't allow you to audit what it is that you're good at. And trust me, you're going to be good at something. Everybody is good at something, even if you don't think you are, which is why it's super crucial to audit your skills. Now, what do people already ask you for help with? Is there anything that maybe you're at work and someone comes up to you and goes, hey, I notice you're good at this. Can you give me some suggestions on how to do this? It could be as simple as like, just saw you make a really good coffee. How do you do that? What is it that people come up to you and regularly ask you for advice on? If you know, fantastic. And if no one comes up for you for advice, then do not worry because that isn't the be all or end all. But it is a good starting point. So for me personally, I used to do fitness coaching and people would come up to me in the gym at a time when there wasn't any like TikTok videos around, and they would just ask me a simple question like, hey, I like the exercise that you're doing, how do you do it? Or is that the best exercise for your abs and all that kind of stuff? And it allowed me to create conversation, but it also made me think, hang on a minute, maybe, fitness is something that I should really look into. And it was, and I was a PT for 6 to 7 years, as well as an online coach. So yeah, that is also a service-based business. What part of your job could you explain easily? So take this another way. It doesn't have to be your job exactly, but what is almost effortless for you to explain? So what lights you up when you're in a conversation and you're talking about something? What makes you go, hang on a minute, I really know this subject really well. It just comes easily. You don't even have to think about it. It's not boring. You could potentially talk about it for hours because that's already hinting at something that you're potentially very good at and you have a really big interest in, but you're just kind of like shielding off with maybe more of a protective kind of job. Maybe it's your 9 to 5 or whatever it is that you're doing currently, which is completely fine. But it just might be like giving you an idea as, hey, this is something you're good at and maybe something you should explore at some point down the line. That's usually your value zone. So yeah, your value zone is where people are asking you, for advice or simply what comes easy to you when you start to think about it. Okay, so that's number one. So that's the first thing. The second thing is super crucial when you identified exactly what it is that you are good at, because trust me, you are good at something. So let's go and jump in again and let's check out number 2. This one is matching your skills to a particular problem. Now, ultimately, all selling or business comes down to is you're providing a solution to solve a much needed problem that a particular market has. And as long as you've got a really good solution and there is a pain point, there is a problem to be solved in the niche that you know, don't worry about if you don't know what niche is yet, that's completely fine. But in a chosen field, then fantastic, you're going to be on to the right direction in that respect when it comes to creating your service-based business, because you have a problem that you can solve, which is the key thing. So you don't sell your skill, you solve a specific problem. Like I just said, solving a problem is ultimately what everything you've probably ever bought does. All right. If you bought a winter jacket, you're buying a winter jacket because, hey, it's cold outside, you want to warm up a little bit. So a winter jacket is the first thing that you're going to buy when it's bloody cold outside. The same thing is if you've got like maybe you know, I used my skin used to flare up a bit, and so that was, for me, it was a big problem. And I bought some, you know, treatment for my face in that respect to solve that issue, because it knocked my confidence. I didn't show up how I wanted to show up, and you know, I wanted a solution for that. So I looked for a solution, and the solution was, you know, a particular cream that helped when it came to, you know, some of the, you know, the spots and things like that I used to get on my head. So that was a solution. It could also be, you know, you're into fitness. So bring about my coaching days, for instance, someone would come to me because their problem was they didn't feel comfortable in their clothes. They perhaps someone said something unkind to them when they were out. Maybe they just don't like feeling slow and lethargic. Maybe they want to be a better role model for their children, be a better husband, be a better wife, whatever it might be. Those things are problems. And with every kind of problem, there's always an opportunity to find a solution. And when you can find a solution, then you can create an offer. And obviously, when you create an offer, you can then bring it out to the market, and then people are going to buy that off you in that respect, or at least inquire about your service. So you solve a specific problem. For example, you know, I didn't sell marketing. You know, because what I do now is copywriting. I'm a consultant, for instance. I help small businesses get more customers using content systems. That's just a fancy way of saying, you know, I do email marketing, I do Facebook ads, you know, I do social media posts in that respect. Whereas before, you know, I was coaching online, I was doing like fat loss programs, training programs, and then in person, I was being a PT as well. So all that kind of stuff is basically service. At the end of the day, you're providing a solution. It's also very fulfilling. And like I said, you're doing something for someone else. And it's such a really good feeling when you're doing that. So, yeah. So that's number two, is if you can think about what it is that you want to do, and then how you think that will solve a particular problem, then you're going to be way ahead of anybody else who isn't already thinking that way. So that is really good to bear in mind. So, number three, package simply. So take that problem and build a basic offer. All right. Not a huge business plan, just a service like I help Y do X so they can do Z. Okay. That one line is the backbone of your business. All right. So what problem that you are going to now solve? So let's take an example. Let's say, going back to my coaching days. Actually, let's do a different one. Let's do teaching. Let's say you're already a teacher, and maybe you want to turn that into an online business, so you can have a little bit more freedom. All right. What is the problem when it comes to teaching? You know, what could it be? Could it be like it's less one to one with a student, and maybe like as a result, maybe some like students fall behind, and you don't like that. Maybe is you want to train other teachers in order to, you know, take them up another level so they can provide a better classroom, etc. when they're teaching. And then how you can then build a basic offer around that problem. All right, so that's something to think about. Another example could be, you know, very simple. You want to be a coach. Let's say you want to be a fat loss coach. Well, the problem is people want to lose weight. All right, so a basic offer could be it could be like the 8-week shred. That's just an example. An 8-week shred is just 8 weeks, and obviously you'll get shredded, and that is a basic offer. What is in that offer is up to you, and that's going to be down to your deliverables. You know, you could be doing like weekly check-ins. You can do like progress reports. You can do 24-hour. I don't like 24/7 WhatsApp support. That's silly. We all have a life. It could just be like you know, I'm a human support or no asshole support. Just don't be a dick support. Where you can actually reach out to people and they can give you a response within a certain time frame. It could be a training program. There's a lot of things, and you get to decide, because it is your offer. There is no constraints when it comes to that. It's your thing. That's the exciting part. You get to decide what that offer is about and how you want to package it. All right, and that is step number 3. Now, I'm going over these very simply. Obviously, you can go really in depth with all of this stuff, but I just wanted to give you a nice, clear base outline of what this could look like and how simple it can really be to build a service-based business in that respect. So that is number 3. So the next one is launch. All right, there's a cheeky photo of me pointing up and a very poorly looking rocket launch. Start talking to people about it. Share your insights on Instagram. Offer help in comments and DMs. Get your first client for conversations, not ads just yet. All right, so this is a big one. Ads are very good. You can pay to play essentially, or you can do the organic game. And that's just posting content on whatever chosen platform that you wish, to start building authority, to start building trust, credibility, get people to know who you are, what it is that you offer, and what you're all about, essentially. And that's the organic approach. When it comes to paid ads, you don't need to worry about that, especially if you're brand new. Ads, you don't really know your audience yet. You need to get a feel for what your market are really into and what they like. So I would stay off ads at the time being and focus on more of an organic strategy. So that can start with picking your platform, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, or a combination of both. It could be TikTok as well. Where do you feel that your audience is hanging out? So you've got a solution, the problem, you have an offer. So now what platform, where do these people hang out? And that's where you want to be. Most of the time it's going to be Instagram or Facebook, because they're generally one of the biggest platforms. So the next step is simply getting stuff out there. All right, creating content around that problem, creating content around that market, creating content around that offer, so people become more aware of it. And that is usually the sticking point for most people. They're like, hang on a minute, I'm going to start posting content. That's absolutely terrifying. I'm going to judge by everybody. I'm only going to get a like from my mum and dad or my best mate, and that's completely fine. It will get that. It's a bit of imposter syndrome. Sometimes it comes naturally to others. I can say when I first started posting, it was awful, very embarrassing. So do not worry. All right, do not worry. Getting stuff out there, you're doing it for you and you're doing it for your potential market, and that is it. And if you don't, you're just doing yourself a disservice at the end of the day. And the only way to break free from the 9 to 5, the job that you don't particularly like, and you want to have a bit more freedom, a bit more control over your time, a bit more money, and to kind of work on your own terms, you got to take sometimes uncomfortable action. And that uncomfortable action is genuinely going to be the first step, which is to start posting content around the thing. Now, posting content, I could do a completely new video. I will do a whole video on this in that respect, because there's different types of content to post, and every post kind of serves a different part of a funnel or a different part of the journey for a customer, potential client. So I will do a video on that. But overall, that is the base outline of how to step out of your 9 to 5 and kind of start the movements towards escaping and building a more fulfilling service-based business. So just go on to the final slide. That's really all you need to begin with. I'm going to move my face. A clear offer, a few conversations, and proof you can deliver. That is it. That is it in a box, in a very simple way. That is all there is. There's no fluff or anything like that. It probably sounds way simpler than it is. It's not easy. It's just simple. Okay, people can easily conflate that, but I'm not here to BS you or anything like that. It's simple. It's not easy, but showing up, taking action are two of the best things that you can possibly start doing when it comes to trading that 9 to 5 to having more freedom and having more control over your time with a business that you enjoy and that you like. That photo was I found a door, and that was for me in Rome. So I just thought I'd be an influencer for a day, and there we are. So there we are. That is everything. So remember, find out what it is that you're good at. Okay, so write it down if you have to. It's a very simple step. right? But it's a step not to be overlooked. Okay. Find out what it is you're good at. Even if people haven't come to you and actively told you you're good at this, don't worry. Have a think. Think about back in school or back in college. What excites you? What do you feel that you could provide to someone else that solves a problem? Which is number two. What problem can you solve for someone else that comes easy to you, that you get quite excited about? Then that is a very good direction to where you should probably put most of your energy. And then it's just creating the offer, what it will look like, how you're going to deliver it to your market, and the kinds of deliverables that you're going to add on to that. And then it's simply just creating awareness. All right. So you've done this, you've got this thing. It's now got the offer. You know who your market is. You know their pain points and everything else. Now it's just creating content and show up on the social feed, binning imposter syndrome and everything else and fear of judgment, and just cracking on with it and giving shit a go. That is the most important thing. Just giving it a go. We get one shot here, and the worst that you can do is post something, or you get no likes, or you fail the first time, but then you've learned something, a really important lesson. As long as you're trying, that's all I care about. And yeah, so there we are. I'm just going to wrap this one up here. So there we go. That's the kickstart in order to build a service-based business. If you like this video, I'm going to be creating more videos like this each week. Please like and subscribe. It helps you out more than you know. Obviously, it's a new channel and I'm here to help. Any questions, let me know in the comment section. I will pop a blog in the description, so feel free to go ahead and read that. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. And just remember, you're capable of more than you think.